Hello out there in YouTube land. Waiting for everybody to pop in the chat room. Say hello, everybody. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Because we're doing something a little different tonight, and I think I've got it set up properly. So let me know if you can or you can't hear me, or if it's too loud, too low. I don't know if I can do anything about that, but I'll definitely try. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes so everybody pops in. Be checking the chat, so let me know you're here. And I will be back in just a minute. Clean up on all three. We've got a turd Ferguson on the loose. Had a little pippy problem there for a second. I swear she knows when I'm busy doing something because she just comes in and she starts going nuts. And then she's out of control before I know it. There's nothing I can do about it. So we had to remove her from the situation here real quick. Yeah, go ahead. So what's up, guys? I see we have some people in the chat. I'm putting it on live chat, but I'm not seeing any comments. I don't see any on top chat. Let me know if you guys are here, if you can hear me and all like that. Hopefully you can. I'm pretty sure I've got this set up properly. I am using a microphone tonight, and I'm going to have to consciously remind myself throughout the stream not to yell. Keep it down low. Use your inside voice, Sarah. I'm going to have to keep reminding myself of that because usually I don't use a microphone. And so I have to yell the whole time, which is exhausting, first of all. Second of all, it's probably not very pleasant on your ears. And I'm going to go ahead just first crack off the bat and apologize, guys. I'm having a sinus problem. It's that time of the year for it. So I'm a little crackly and nasally. I apologize for that. A little hoarse tonight, unfortunately. Hopefully I can talk for the next hour and a half. We may try to make this a short stream just because I may not have much voice. I can tell I'm already starting to get real froggy. So I'm still not seeing. Oh, okay. We have one comment. Hello there, Mofo Co. Can you hear me? Am I coming through clearly on your end? Hopefully I am. Where's everybody at tonight? You guys, hurry up and hop on here so we can start talking about some spooky things. Very, very scary stories tonight. I may also, depending on how my voice does, if I'm not too hoarse or whatever, I may tell you. Okay, that's good. Good to know. I may tell you guys some of my own personal UFO stories because I have a few that I'd like to share, but they're not really video worthy, unfortunately. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You know what would be really funny is if nobody shows up tonight, because here's the thing, guys. I did not get to promote this show because my Photoshop has been wigging out all day long. I have had so many problems with Photoshop, so I was not able to get my promotional pictures and stuff like that done in time and get them posted. Maybe nobody's coming. We're going to be alone tonight. So if you're listening to this asynchronously, yeah, that's cool because, yeah, nobody's here. So, all right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Paranormally Correct. I am your super spooky host, Sarah, as always. Oh my God, I'm so froggy. Coming to you live tonight from a lily pad. Ribbit. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm trying to not let my voice crack, but it's cracking all over the place. Haley. Hey, Haley, thank you for tuning in. It is a slow, lonely night here at Paranormally Correct. This is crazy. We usually have like 10 or 12 people by now, but nobody's here tonight. So we'll give it our best shot anyway. Hopefully my voice is not going to go out. I feel like I'm already losing my voice. So, a couple things I wanted to talk about. Unfortunately, nobody's here, so I feel like maybe I shouldn't talk about these things yet. Whatever, I'll go ahead. I'll mention it again if anybody pops in later. So I did a poll on Facebook this week. And I was asking if you guys remembered watching at any point in the past, if you all saw it wasn't a live video. It was actually like a produced video where I sit down and film myself and then edit the video and all that stuff. But it was a story of the first ghost hunt I ever went on, the first paranormal investigation. First official one that I ever did. And it was a very, very scary story. It was a very scary experience. And 60% of you, and this is shocking to me, 60% of you said that you had never seen that video. And I was like, wow, okay. Well, that's good, because actually this week I have been in the process of getting some videos filmed for you guys, because I haven't been able to do any film videos for so long. I've just been doing live streams. I think people forget that this channel is not just a live stream channel. So I'm actually going to redo that video, so you can look for that. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, hopefully by the end of the week. But don't quote me on that, because it may take a little longer. But I definitely want to redo that video because it was a terrifying story. And also, I wanted to let you guys know, not all of my videos suck. I actually do have a few pretty good videos back further in my catalog of videos here on YouTube. I would recommend that you guys check out the video. I forget what it's called exactly. I think it's like My Friend Got Attacked by a Demon or something like that. That was also a story of a paranormal investigation that I was on many years ago. And very, very spooky story. Definitely check that one out. Oh, I see the number going up. We have some people. You guys, give me a sign of your presence. Knock 3 times. What is it? Once for no, twice for yes on the K2 meter. So yeah, I see some people. Say hello in the chat room. Let me know you're here. So yeah, I'm gonna redo that video. I can't believe you guys have never seen that. I felt like, oh, I don't know, maybe not, maybe because it's too old. But yeah, go back a little ways into my videos and check it out. I have a few that are pretty good. There's the story of, I can't remember what I call my videos. There's like the Indian Mound Road story, which is a ghost story, something that happened to me when I was younger. Oh my gosh, I have so many crazy stories. You guys need to check them out. But I'm going to do some new ones. I'm going to do some old ones. I'm going to check and see if there's anything else that I can redo and possibly make better, because I'm just going to be honest, guys. When I started my YouTube channel, I had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, sometimes I feel like I still don't. But yeah, some of the videos, they sucked. I don't blame you for not watching them, but some of them are okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, does anybody remember the Martinez demon dog photo by any chance? I would pull it up, but I don't have it handy. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then maybe that will kind of add to the surprise in the video when I get it posted. I'm doing a new episode of Farside Fables, and I wanted to do one on the Martinez demon dog for like the longest time, but there's never been any more information about this picture come out to the public. So it's kind of hard to do a video, which, you know, Farside Fables is basically my little subcategory where I do like quick, short, like super short videos where we debunk things, paranormal things, cryptid things, you know, anything relating to the paranormal, supernatural. And they're just super short videos. If you haven't seen those, I've got one on Chupacabra. I've got one on a dire wolf. I think reptilians. I have a couple on there, so they have their own playlist if you want to check those out. Cinder, hello. I'm so glad to see you. Yeah, the Boo Crew is MIA tonight, Cinder. Nobody's here, so it's just going to be us, just a few of us. But anyway, getting to the point with this Martinez Demon Dog Farside Fables episode, would you guys still be interested in it if it's like more technical? Because I really want to do the video, but like I said, I don't have a lot of information to go on. So my take on it was to kind of manipulate it in Photoshop to see if we could figure out any clues about the authenticity of the picture, and just kind of like show you guys how I analyze pictures. Not super in depth, you know. It's not going to be like an hour of me photoshopping things and rambling. It would just be like, you know, I think, what's it going to come out to? It's probably going to be under 5 minutes, possibly thereabouts. Samuel, hey, crazy kids. No, you're just on time. If you guys think you would still be interested in that, I guess let me know in the comments or whatever. I think it's kind of what I've got so far. It's not completely finished. It's in editing, but I think it's interesting if you're interested in how maybe to analyze paranormal pictures in Photoshop, which I did a couple of videos on a long time ago. You guys have probably not seen those either. But I think that's something that's pretty important to paranormal enthusiasts, you know, because we're always seeing pictures of like supposed pictures of Bigfoot and ghosts and demons and all these things. And, you know, a lot of people don't have the first clue as to, you know, how to look at them critically when they see this kind of stuff. So everybody's either like, yes, it's real, or no, it's not real. And nobody's really thinking about the picture or the video. I would like to do something like that for audio as well, but I think it would be cool. So I don't know, maybe you guys will like it. Hopefully you like it and it doesn't suck. Because it's such a cool picture, the Martinez. I don't know what people officially call it. The guy in the picture, his last name is Martinez. So I just kind of call it the Martinez demon dog, but I don't know. That's just what I call it. Also, if you guys hear some ominous growls in the background, that would be my stomach. I am on a fast of sorts. I like to do fasts from time to time. Oh my God, my voice is crackling so bad. I'm so sorry. I know I sound like a toad frog right now. But I like to do fasts from time to time, at least a few times a year. And I'm on one right now, and I have been hangry all day. And if you don't know what hangry is, it's when you're so hungry that you get angry. I'm okay, but my stomach is still, it hasn't got the memo that we're moving on. We're not going to, you know, linger around at hangry. We're going to move on to happy. So yeah, if you hear ominous growls, that's what it is. I haven't really eaten in a few days. What else? No, there was one. Wow. Okay. And you guys know I have paranormal radar. So either my stomach's growling because I'm hungry, or it's growling because there's a demon in the room with me. Hey, Noran, it is good to see you. Yes, it's been a while. Samuel, you'd like to see it? Awesome. Cool. Let's see, what else? There was some other stuff. Let me take a swig of my coffee here. My throat is just so dry and scratchy. I'm just trying to push the words out, but it's difficult. So I'm probably going to have a lisp tonight from having this allergy problem. Also, if you're familiar with my Far Side Fables playlist and the type of videos that I do there, feel free to recommend or request videos for that. I mean, you can request videos for anything, you know, whatever. Dogman behind me growling. Yes, it is. I wish it was, honestly. That would be super cool. It would be like authentic recording of a dog man eating a weird girl on YouTube live on the air. So glad. Yeah, definitely, Noran. I am too. I'm glad to see you. And Captain Obvious, oh my God. Oh my God. It has been super, super long since I've seen you in here. Oh, wow. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you all for stopping in tonight. Hopefully I don't disappoint, me and my Toad Frog voice. Let's see. What else was there? Oh yeah, well, I was talking about Far Side Fables. If you guys have any recommendations or requests or anything for any type of videos you want me to do, specifically those, because I really would like to get a few more of those posted, please send them over. Just, you know, if you want to email it, if you want to leave it in the comment section, just whatever. But basically the idea behind those are super short, questionable paranormal evidence, or theories, or, like the reptilians video. I kind of just trace the origin of reptilians pretty much, just in a super quick, short, condensed summary. So hopefully that kind of gets the point across if you haven't seen them before. But I'd definitely like to do some more of those. And also, any type of videos you want me to do on here, if you guys know anybody who would like to come on and do an interview, tell their story, their paranormal stories or experiences, they can totally do that. Just send them my way. And most importantly, do you guys use MeWe by any chance? MeWe is like the anti-Facebook, and I know a lot of you don't use Facebook, and I know I'm always like, guys, I'm going to post this and that over on the Facebook page, and you're like, oh no, I don't use Facebook, and then I feel terrible because, I don't blame you at all for not using Facebook, because, that Zuckerberger, he's always up to something. But supposedly MeWe is way better, and they don't spy on you, and they don't snoop on you and stuff like that. So if you guys have a MeWe, feel free to add me as a friend. I still don't really know how to use it, but once I have people on there to communicate with, I think I'll probably get more interested in using it, and then I'll kind of figure it out. So, oh my God, whew, I feel like I'm just going to be yodeling all night long. Like, you guys remember that Tomcat, the old John Johnson Tomcat? That's me tonight. Yeah, so add me on MeWe. The link to my MeWe page is in the description. But I think it's just Paranormally Correct. And I think there's only like 100 people total on MeWe, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem finding me. But yeah, it would be cool. We could be MeWe friends. And honestly, if it wasn't for the Facebook fan page, I would not use Facebook either. I just hate it. I feel like Facebook makes me so miserable. I don't know if you guys kind of like, maybe you feel the same way, but if you've never used it or you don't like using it, then you probably don't. Let's see. I believe that's about all I was going to tell you before we get started. And it looks like lots of people are popping in. Thank you all for coming. Feel free to chat in the chat box. And let's see here. Do I have anything else? Let me double check and make sure I told you everything I was going to tell you. I think we're good. Yep. My dream last night is a woman who removed. Oh. A wavy fish slug? Oh my God. I don't like slugs. If I had a dream about slugs, I would probably wake up screaming. I think they're so gross. Ew. I don't like any kind of worms or anything like that. They're disgusting. It took me like 25 years before I could actually say the word worm out loud, because that's how afraid of them I am. If that makes any sense at all. They disgust me to no end. I don't know if you consider a slug a worm. I do, because they're disgusting, equally disgusting. Let's see here. Well, that is a really weird dream. I've been having really terrible dreams myself. I don't know if you consider that a terrible dream. I would, because I don't like slugs. But you guys, I don't remember my dreams, which is really weird, because I remembered them vividly all the time. And then I got into all that astral projection stuff that I made videos about here on the YouTube channel. And I stopped remembering my dreams. And I don't know if the two things are connected or not. I feel like they kind of are. But for the past, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks. Oh God, I got to tell you this story. Speaking of remembering my dreams. Okay, we have to take a little side road here into nowhere. So, okay. Like I said, I don't ever remember my dreams, but for the last couple of weeks, I have been remembering them, and they've been super, super strange. Like, not like lucid dreams at all, but just super realistic dreams, hyper realistic dreams. I hate to use the word super. It's like super. Oh my God. And somebody already called me a bimbo here on the YouTube channel a few days ago. So I better stop talking like a bimbo. Thanks for that, dude, by the way. I Take that as a compliment. But no, seriously. Okay, so these hyper realistic dreams, right? And I had this dream. They're more like nightmares, though, to be completely honest. But I had this dream a couple weeks ago. It was dark, and it was, I don't know. There was just some kind of ominous overtone to the dream, but it was really dark out, like unusually dark. And I remember somehow I was able to see the silhouette of two people come up onto my porch and just burst through my door. And then, like this whole awful nightmare kind of ensued after that. Well, but there was something about this dream that stood out to me so much for some reason, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then so one day, I think it was like, I don't know, it wasn't this past Saturday, maybe it was a Saturday before, or at the most the Saturday before that, so like a couple weeks ago. I don't ever have visitors. People don't really come to our house, like we don't ever have company. So it's a very strange time when somebody comes, knocks on the door. So I had the door open, and just the glass door latch, but like the big heavy door was open, because it was nice outside. And all of a sudden I hear feet, like feet prints, footsteps on the porch. And I'm like, oh my God, is there somebody on my porch? So I'm kind of like running through the house. And about the time I get to the door, there's two people just kind of coming in my door. And I'm like immediately thinking, this is like my dream. Oh my God. And it starts kind of flashbacking. I start having flashbacks of this weird, awful, ominous dream that I had, except instead of two ominous, unidentifiable figures, it's two older women. And you could tell right off they were like, door-to-door religious women, pretty much. And it turned out they were Jehovah's Witnesses, or so they say. But I have a whole lot of questions and reservations about that, because I've been looking up stuff online about Jehovah's Witnesses, and it seems like all of the videos online and all the reading material for like how to deal with Jehovah's Witnesses when they come to your door, because that's out there apparently. A lot of it kind of goes into detail about what they will normally say to you and what their end goal is, basically. So like they give you paperwork and they give you this and that, and they give you like a stern talking to. Well, these two women basically they were going to just come right in the screen door. First of all, which I thought was really strange. Like, why are you reaching for the handle on that door? And I kind of caught them right as they did it. And but they never said really anything that Jehovah's Witnesses normally would say, according to the internet. Oh, excuse me. And they started asking me weird personal questions. And the whole time I'm panicking. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like, I had a dream that was a premonition. Now I'm going to get murdered. I had no idea what was going on. It was the weirdest experience. Okay. It just did not feel right. And then it's Monday now. So this last Saturday, 2 days ago, they came back. But it was one of the women and a man. So it was two older women at first. And then this time it was different. But I hid. I didn't answer the door. But I'll tell you what, they were beating the crap out of my door. I mean, it was like on mafia movies or something, like, like they might as well turn around and kick the door, because she was just like incessantly, relentlessly beating the crap out of my door. And I was like hiding on the other side, not about to answer. And I was just thinking, oh my God, is she trying to like knock it down? Like, what's going on here? Why not just like tap, 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 just a normal friendly knock? It was very, very peculiar. They're weird people. I don't think they're actually Jehovah's Witnesses. I think they're axe murderers. Okay. I think these people were lying to me. Okay. So let me check the comments real quick and get a drink of coffee. Let's see. Yeah, Noran, definitely. Hey, James, good to hear from you too. Glad to see you. Yeah. Yeah, no, Noran, that's what I was thinking. Is like, and the stupid thing that I did, the most ignorant thing I could have possibly done, is like, I felt like they were pressuring me the first time they were here. So there was like this awkward it felt like forever where we're kind of just looking at each other in dead silence. And I was like, well, you guys want to come in? And as soon as I said it, it was like the words were coming out of my mouth in slow motion. And I was thinking, no, damn it, Sarah, don't do that. But yeah, I shouldn't have let them in. Guys, listen, if you're a young person, like if you're a kid and people come to your door, don't let them in. Do not be dumb like me. Don't let them in your door. Because I mean, I'm really suspicious of these people. I don't think that they really are Jehovah's Witnesses. And even if they are, I kind of don't want them to come in anyway. So I don't know, but they left me a note last Saturday, and apparently they're going to come back again. So I'm being stalked by alleged Jehovah's Witnesses. But I think they're axe murderers. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. Vampires. Yeah, so oh my God, what a weird experience. I have never had Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons or anything come to my house. This was my first experience with it. So very, very strange experience. All right, so let's get started here on tonight's video. Have you guys ever heard of the North Hudson Park UFO by any chance? I'll give you just a second to think about that. No, just a second to catch up, actually. I think it would probably sound pretty awful if I vape right into the microphone, so that's why I'm just kind of like muting, just a little mute here and there. For those of you who might be wearing earbuds, possibly. So the North Hudson UFO, North Hudson Park UFO, I think it's a strange case. Of course, all UFO cases are strange cases, but there's something about this one to me that seems like it's either really, really true or really, really not true. I don't think there's any in between. And the reason I say that is because the next one after this we're going to talk about, I believe every word of it, and I'm going to tell you why. But this one, I want to talk about this one because it's interesting. It's creepy. I mean, oh my God, it's really creepy. But there's just something really suspicious about it. Not saying that I don't believe it, but just saying that there's something unique about this story. So, okay, that's enough of an introduction for this story. This encounter took place right across from the Hudson River from Manhattan as George Obarski was driving home on the night of January 12th, 1975 at around 2:45 a.m. Suddenly, an inexplicable static from George's car radio caused him to lean forward to reach for the dial. He was just fiddling with it to try to turn it to a different station. And then while he was leaning down, he saw something out of the corner of his eye to the left, like a weird light. So it was a disc-like object, mostly obscured by the darkness of night, lit exiguously only by the radiant shine pouring through the vertical windows which encircled it. So it was a typical saucer with the, well, some people say that the saucer they've seen has like the, like the old Hollywood squares like around it, like the, what's the movie I'm thinking of, like Plan 9 from Outer Space or whatever. But it was like a very stereotypical looking flying saucer is basically what I'm getting at. So it had the vertical windows. The flying object was emitting an ominous whir. I love that word ominous. If you guys have not figured that out, that's like one of my favorite words. But it was making this weird sound, and it was traversing the night sky in the same direction George was traveling. He watched as the object navigated to a field in North Hudson Park, descended toward the ground, and then stopped just a few feet above it. He tagged along behind it to get a better look. So I suspect that at this time of the morning, George was probably out there on the road, mostly alone. I would say that there probably wasn't a lot of traffic, but it being right across from New York City, of course, there's always lots of people, in the area, up, awake, all hours of the day and night, doing things and seeing things and witnessing things. So, but he was probably on the road alone. This is just something that I questioned, so I thought I'd throw it in there for you. What he saw next was incredible. 10 small humanoid creatures, all dressed uniformly, emerged from a now open panel on the side of the craft and filed out onto the ground by way of a small ladder. Their attire was something like a one-piece white jumpsuit with hoods. I'm imagining Oompa Loompas, which mostly hid their faces. The strangest part was still yet to come. So, These little guys are wearing these little white suits, and I cannot help but think of the Oompa Loompas because I swear there was a part in the Willy Wonka movie where they had on little white jumpsuits. I'm pretty sure. And I probably should have checked the dates because maybe that's where he got the idea from. You never know. Who knows? Not me. I don't know. Lighthouse there. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure I'm up to date on comments. Okay, so the creatures were on a mission. George recalls that each one of them was carrying a tool which was larger than but not unlike a spoon. Each creature quickly took to digging in the ground with their spoon-like tools and filling up a bag with whatever it was that they had dug up. They finished their work and loaded back onto the ship, which ascended toward the sky and was soon gone. George was able to get as close as 60 feet away from the landing site at one point during the encounter. So, very spooky so far. It's not very often in UFO reports. I mean, of all the UFO reports that we have, we don't really ever hear about one of them having like dozens of little creatures on it. I mean, there's a handful out there, a few at most, but not very many. So that's one of the things about this story that I find very odd is, you know, you don't hear of that very often. And oh my God, my stomach is really growling, guys. I think this is paranormal radar. So moving right along with the story, George was smart and he returned to the landing site the next morning to look for clues. He discovered 15 small holes dug out in the ground. Each were a few inches deep. He actually stuck his hand into the holes and kind of like examined. So just a few inches, each one of them. Oddly enough, those little holes were still visible a year later, even though they had been covered and reseeded with grass, probably not in that order, by a park custodian. Upon closer inspection, there weren't even any roots of grass growing below the dirt. Eventually, it was discovered that other people witnessed the UFO that night, though none of them were lucky enough to see the figures like George did. One of the witnesses, working as a doorman at an apartment complex which bordered the edge of the park, and I have a picture of this from Google Maps, I'll show you in just a second. He looked away from the strange lights in the distance for only a moment because this guy, he was up, he was working the night shift, so he was watching the whole time this was going down. He just didn't see it land. But he did see it, pretty low in the sky. So he's watching, and he said that he turned away for just a second. I forget why he said he turned away. But as it was leaving the area, he was looking in a different direction. There was this weird sound as it flew over. It was like a high-pitched, whirring sound, like a frequency vibration type sound. It came from the sky, and it shattered the plate glass window of the lobby as it was taking off. So then it was gone. It just vanished. All right, so wolf tummies. What are you reading from? I am reading my script that I wrote. And let me tell you what, I wrote this. I thought I was doing such a great job, and it is so full of typos that I didn't proofread it. So if I stumble through some words, it's because there's typos. I get writer's blindness when I'm writing, and I stop seeing my own typos. So yeah, silver suits. Yeah, it was silver suits, wasn't it? Yeah, but didn't they have like little hoods on them? Because I swear this is what this makes me think of. So, okay. Let me pull up the picture. First things first, let me do that before I forget, because this is something that I was really curious about. And as I research these stories, I always try to think of like, I'm always questioning pretty much everything like this. So I always want to know if it's possible. I think hopefully you should be able to see that now. If it's possible, I like to look things up on Google Maps or, just find some type of reference for like landmark details or something like that in the story. So as you can see here, this is on the Hudson River. Zoom in a little bit. So, oh crap. I'm used to the Photoshop controls. So I pull this up and I'm like, oh, I can't compute. Okay, so Stonehenge Apartments on the Palisades is where the doorman was working that night. So he was in this area right here. And I know it looks like a greater distance from above, like from the aerial view, but I routed it for like walking just to kind of get an idea of like if you were to walk over there, how close or how far is it? So it's a super short walk. As you can see, it's like 13 minutes, 0.7 miles. This is the apartment complex that borders the park. So right up here, and I'm not positive exactly where the UFO landed. And yes, if you're wondering, I did try to zoom way, way in and look for tiny holes. I didn't see any, but I'm guessing that the UFO probably landed either near the soccer field or right around this top area here. And the reason I say that is because some research that I did kind of referred to or alluded to like a ball field, like a clearing for, you know, I don't know, some type of sports or something. It wasn't really ever specific. So I'm thinking that it was one of these spots right up here at the top. I think you can see my mouse cursor, hopefully. Near water. Yeah, it is near water. Oh, thank you, Captain Obvious. Ley lines. Yeah, that's something that I've started to become interested in recently. And I think I've heard of it before because I've got a few books that kind of talk about, I don't know, they have different names for it. Like one of the cringiest names that I've ever heard is like supernatural terra firma. And it's like, oh, that's a fancy sounding word to just say like haunted dirt, but I've heard of stuff like that before, but I've never really got interested in it enough to research it. But I think in the near future, I'm going to try to do a video on, there's another term that they use for it. Oh, there was something I posted on Facebook the other day, and it was in reference to this particular story. Oh, I can't remember what they called it though. I'm having a brain fart. But yeah, it's basically ley lines. Like there's, according to these theories, there's different places on the earth that are, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, they're conducive to either paranormal activity or extraterrestrial activity or just, something. And it's, I think it's believable because it's not quite as radical as like, some people say like, well, there are portals in different parts of the world. And I personally don't really believe in portals. I mean, I've never seen one. And obviously I'm skeptical about stuff. So I would have to see something like that before I could really have an opinion on it. But I think as far as just different parts of, the earth just have different energies because of maybe the rock that's under them, or maybe they're closer to a pole, like the North Pole, South Pole, whatever. That I think makes sense because it's a little more scientific. Yeah, look outside of shape and see bioenergy. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, it could be that there's something about this particular area that's attractive to them. I don't know. I think, let's see, there was a couple of other notes I had on this. Let me go ahead and stop that. So now that you kind of see, this is the area. I didn't get a street view because I would have had to, do like multiple screenshots and then it would have just been a big mess. But you can kind of see from the aerial map, it makes it make a little more sense, I think. So let me pull up my script again real quick. Other witnesses, yes, like I said, because it's, right across from New York City, from Manhattan specifically. Lots of people saw this. Some saw more than others. And there were a lot of people who, like specifically at the apartment complex at this Stonehenge place, there were a lot of tenants there who had been seeing weird lights in the sky and weird aerial phenomena, I guess you could say. And they'd been seeing it for weeks leading up to this. And I guess it was, maybe even like a common occurrence there. I'm not familiar personally with this area. I've been to New York, but I don't know of this particular spot, but I would love to see this place in person to see, just to kind of research it, to see like what angle would you be looking at to be able to see this? Because you would think like it's right over New York City pretty much. Wouldn't millions of people see it? And that's another thing that makes me a little bit skeptical of this story. But supposedly there were just, lots and lots of people saw it that night. What else? There was something else I was going to tell you about this. I didn't have it in my notes for some reason because I'm a dingbat, unfortunately. let's see. Oh, one thing I want to tell you about this is I found a book. It's like an image of a book, but you can actually read the book if you're interested in it. It's linked in the description box, and I forget what it's called, but it says something like PDF book, and it kind of goes into detail about this as well. Also, there was a write up in the newspaper about this because, what's his name? Obarski. George was actually friends with someone who was kind of like, I don't know, like a UFO, not, I wouldn't say ufologist, but someone who's like a UFO enthusiast or something like that, and a researcher. So this guy was able to, like, over a period of a year, they actually researched around the area to see if they could find any more clues or any more witnesses, or uncover any more experiences or encounters or whatever. And they were able to find quite a few people who had seen this type of activity, which is how they knew that there were other people at Stonehenge who had seen it. And then also, it's kind of weird. There was another sighting almost exactly 1 year later. It was on January 15th, 1976. And it was like, I mean, well, the first one, of course, was on like what, the 12th? Yeah. So the first one was on the 12th. Well, the first one we know about. And then the one a year later was on the 15th, and it was almost exactly at the same time of the night, because the second one was at 3 a.m. The first one was about 15 till. So the weird thing about the second story is that there was somehow they were able to uncover another story, but nobody's really ever talked about it. And the only information that I could find when I was researching it was kind of saying, like, everybody's really tight-lipped about the other encounter from 1976. So I just wonder, like, is it even spookier? Is it better than George Obarski's story? Because I think that's really super creepy to, it's one thing to see UFO. Like, you're obviously going to be shocked. You're obviously going to feel like you can't believe your eyes. This is incredible. This is amazing. What am I seeing? You want to logic it away, as I like to as I like to say from time to time, and your brain wants to rationalize it. But you can kind of rationalize a UFO to yourself by kind of saying, well, maybe it was the military, maybe it was like a military experimental aircraft or something. And I know that's what I've done with so many of my UFO encounters. I always kind of in the back of my mind tell myself, like, yeah, but it was probably a military aircraft. But if you see the actual creatures get off of it, or if you see what's on the ship, and then your brain kind of has to come face to face with the reality that, okay, this was not military. You know what I mean? Like, this was extraterrestrial. There are alien life forms on this UFO. It's like a whole other ball game. And I think that's why I think this story is really kind of disturbing. But there's so many things about this story that I find odd and suspicious. I think I posted some links in the description if you want to read up on it a little bit more, because there's so many different variations of the stories out there. And that's another thing I want to say before I talk about the second story. I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys spend a lot of time like reading, like just actively seeking out paranormal stories online, whether it's like UFO. Well, I think it's specifically with like UFO stories, and probably cryptid stories would come in second place. And then, ghost stories, people tend to not get too excited about those. But I've noticed with extraterrestrial and UFO encounter stories, there is so much misinformation. Oh my God. Things get misconstrued to the point where the story is not even accurate anymore, Let me grab a drink of coffee. My throat is all scratchy and itchy. That reminds me of the cat from The Simpsons, the cat and mouse. Itchy and scratchy. That's me right now. No, we'll just stick with Toad Frog. But no, seriously, there's like, it's so weird. I mean, I guess this happens with lots of things. I think it's probably not limited to like paranormal stories, but it's just such a disappointment how people can kind of twist stuff around. And like, I don't know if it's just something that is inevitable to happen with journalism type things, endeavors. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if people do it just to sensationalize the story that they're putting on their blog or their news website or whatever. But it's funny how just the changing of like small details, if you change enough of them, it kind of it warps the whole story. So, and I'll give you an example of that later once we're talking about the other story, because it there were a lot of places in that story where, as I was writing out my research, I would have to go back and change things based on which website I was getting information from, because nobody can get the story straight for some reason. So it's always good to keep that in mind, like before you read something or you listen to something maybe on YouTube, whatever. It's like always keep in mind that these details may be just a little bit off, just because the more that they get retold, it's like the game of telephone, where you whisper in somebody's ear and they pass it down and so forth. It's always going to be a little different by the end. So definitely keep that in mind. I always try to avoid misinformation if at all possible, but I know that it's probably not possible all the time. But I definitely I go the extra mile to make sure that I tell you guys the accurate version. So let me check the comments real quick. See what you guys are talking about. Have you heard of Stairs in the Middle of the Woods? No, I have never heard of that. Um, hmm, that's interesting. Let me make sure I'm on the live chat. Yep. Okay. Alrighty. So I think that was about all. There, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot on this particular story. I do know that they definitely made a good effort, apparently, to research the area and search for witnesses or clues or anything that could kind of you know I don't know, give them more indication of what's going on in the area. And I would like to know if anybody is possibly still around that area. Like, if anybody listening to this, like, if you live around there, let me know if you've ever seen anything or heard of anything, or, even if it's just you think like just an urban legend, because sometimes there's a shred of truth in those. But I'd really like to know, because I think if there's a pattern of the UFOs coming back multiple times to this particular spot in this particular area, then the chances are possibly greater that they're still doing it. You know what I mean? And I've heard of places like that. I know of a few places back around my hometown where people would say, like, we always see UFOs in this spot or that spot, and there's like seems like there's more here, more there. And a lot of people would. I've also heard people say strip mining and coal mining sites would have a lot of UFO activity and just weird stuff in the sky. And actually, I'm going to tell you, while we're on that topic, I'm going to tell you a little story too. And I've got, like I said at the beginning of the show, if you didn't hear it, like if you tuned in later, I've got a few stories that are not really worth making a whole video about, but they're just stories that I would like to kind of tell you because, they're related to the topic. So this one, I was thinking about this one today. This is probably one of my favorite weird experiences that I've ever had. And it was just so strange because we didn't know what to make of it, and I kind of still don't. In retrospect, I don't know what this was, if it was a total coincidence or not. I guess you can be the judge of that. So this happened back around the place where I grew up many, many years ago. I was probably I don't know, I was probably in my early 20s, early to mid 20s or something like that. My little nephew was really, really into like Bigfoot and cryptids and stuff like that, and UFOs. He was super, super fascinated by those things, and he still is, I guess, probably. But we used to go alien hunting. We called it, which was basically like we just go outside at night if it was warm weather and just look and see what we could see. And once in a while, we were lucky enough to like try to spotlight for something, which, if you guys didn't know, I have a whole story about spotlighting for aliens and actually seeing a UFO. If you haven't watched that, you should definitely check that one out, because that one is crazy. That is my number one experience. Well, the only thing that would be maybe number one and it would be number 2. Number 1 would probably be the Bigfoot that I saw because I didn't really even believe in Bigfoot. I believed in aliens, so, you know, yeah, so Bigfoot would probably be number 1, and this thing would be number 2, but this was number 1 for many, many, many years up until last year. So anyway, we were outside one night, and we had a light. It wasn't like a super bright spotlight or anything. I don't know why I keep saying that word. Ugh, it's like a glitch in my brain. I've got to stop. I've got to stop. Um, but we were basically spotlighting, you know, but it wasn't like a good high-powered spotlight. Anyway, neither here nor there. So we see this thing from the backyard. And we're like, oh, what's that? That doesn't look like a star. Oh my God, it's moving. So we kind of go through the whole thing, like we're following it, we're looking at it. We didn't really know what it was. Nothing really came of it, but it was really suspicious looking. So we keep looking. And we kind of walk out the road a little ways, out the holler, as we call it in Kentucky. It's a holler. And we see this light off in the distance, and it was above which is what made me think of the strip mining area. It was above an area where they had, I don't know if they coal mined or strip. I think it was just strip mined. Yeah, it wasn't coal mining. Oh my God, what am I talking about? So we see this light and it's off in the distance, and we think maybe it's part of a cell phone tower. So this was so many years ago that cell phone towers weren't really as common as they are now. Because I'm super old, guys. And there, I just said it again. I just did it again. What is wrong with me? I'm extremely old. I'm dinosaur aged. So, so it wasn't really that common to see the, you know, like towers and stuff. But there was a tower at some point put in that area. So we thought, oh, well, maybe that's a tower. He was a kid and I hadn't been around for a long time. So I didn't know. I hadn't, you know, I wasn't out there the night before looking for anything, so I had no idea if it was a cell tower, but it was a red light. It was a big, big red light off in the distance. And so we were kind of sitting on the side of a hill, and we thought maybe we would just shine our light at it just in case, like just kind of flicking it around in the sky anyway. And then all of a sudden, it was like it was moving. And I was like, is that moving? And he's like, yeah, I think it is. And so we're watching it and watching it. It's kind of coming in our direction from up the holler toward us. And if you don't know what a holler is, that's a hollow. That's what, you know, it's kind of a country word for hollow. But it's like, what would you call that if you don't speak hillbilly English? I don't know. I don't know what you would call it. A cul-de-sac? Not really, no. Well, either way, we see this light coming from up the holler, and it's coming towards us. And we're like, oh my God, it's moving. It's really moving. It's seriously moving. And it's huge. I mean, it was like the size of a dime in the sky. It was enormous. And it was red, just like a cell phone tower, like the red lights on there. But it wasn't flashing or anything like that. And so we were like, oh my God, should we like get up? Like, because we're on the side of a hill. At this point, we had just kept walking and walking. And so we're out in the middle of the darkness of night on the side of a hill. And there's a giant red light coming toward us. And so I was like, I don't want to say his name on here because he probably wouldn't appreciate that or whatever. But I was like, should we run? He's like, yeah, I think we should. So we took off and we ran. And by the time we ran back to where we were going, because I was looking up a few times. I'm pretty sure he was looking up a few times too. And it was like, it was still going through the sky. But then by the time we stopped and looked back, it was nowhere to be found. So I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was it. I guess it was, I mean, technically it was a UFO because we couldn't identify it and it was a flying object. So technically, yes, UFO. Was it extraterrestrial? I would like to think so. I have no idea. It was a really weird one. And that's why it's like one of my favorite weird experiences because we had no idea what to make of it. And I have like a whole bunch more little random stories like that. Let's see, what's another super short one? I don't know. Maybe I'll tell another one after we talk about this next incident. So the next one, you maybe possibly have heard of this UFO story. This one it's considered one of the most controversial UFO alien encounter stories in all of history. This is one of my favorite UFO stories, and this one scares me really, really, really bad to no end. This is a terrifying story. So, the Cash-Landrum Incident from 1980. It was just after Christmas on December 29th, 1980, when the Cash-Landrum, or you may also know it as the Texas Piney Woods UFO Incident, took place just north of Houston, Texas. Betty Cash, 51, and Vicki Landrum, I'm not sure how old she was. She, I believe, was older, but it doesn't really matter, but I think she might have been older. Along with Vicki's 7-year-old grandson, Colby, were traveling back home to Dayton, Texas at around 9 p.m. that night. They were in a very heavily wooded area on Farm to Market Road, 1485. So I think you can look that up. I started to look it up and I think I forgot to. But the name of the road is Farm to Market Road, 1485, outside of Houston. But anyway, it's an isolated 2-lane highway. So they're on this road when Betty saw a bright object in the sky through the treetops. Vicki then observed it as well, and the two concluded that perhaps they must have been close to the Houston Intercontinental Airport. But the Houston Intercontinental I can't even say it. I'm not going to try. Airport was about 35 miles away. And as they approached what they later described as a huge, upright, diamond-shaped metallic craft hovering above the highway, they obviously realized something extraordinary was happening. Cash stopped in the road and got out to take a closer look. So, in case that wasn't clear, because like I said, I have a lot of typos, I'm going to stumble through some of my words. They're driving down this highway, and then they see something, and then they see it like full on, head on. They're looking straight at it. There's like a big, ginormous, I believe they said about the size of a water tower. You know, the big water towers, like the tanks on top, is about the size of that. Big diamond-shaped UFO, just kind of hovering a little above and a little below the tree line. So not too far off the ground, pretty close. So they stop the car. Cash gets out. She wants to take a closer look at it. It was as if the base of it was lit by fire, and the light was radiating so brilliantly it lit up the pitch black dark woods nearby. She stood in the road and stared in disbelief. Landrum exited the car briefly, but only to beg Betty to retreat to safety. Landrum, unsuccessful, returned almost immediately to the car to comfort her grandson. Colby, who was in the back seat and terrified of the otherworldly craft, obviously I would be too, especially at 7 years old. Can you imagine? I mean, like that's, whole other problem right there by itself. What do you tell a 7-year-old? And we're actually going to talk about that at the end of the story. I don't want to get ahead of myself because that's significant. Cash, still outside watching, observed the craft bobbing up and down slowly until finally it ascended higher than the treetops that had lined both sides of the dark, lonely highway. Both women recall the intense heat radiating from the craft. Then the sighting was disrupted by a fleet of about 23 Chinook helicopters which surrounded the UFO and began to usher it away like dogs herding cattle. The heat from the UFO was so intense during the encounter that it had heated up the metal body of the car, making it untouchable without protection. Cash burned her hand on the door handle even when trying to re-enter the car and had to use a coat to finally get it open. So, okay, let me interject here on myself. I'm going to interrupt myself. I'm going to Kanye myself real quick. This is an example right here of one of the details that was a little bit misconstrued. So if you read some sites about this, like if you do some research, here or there, you'll probably see that Betty allegedly burned her hand on the hood of the car. A lot of websites say that. I was able to find out because I found a video. The video is linked in the description, and it's going to be on the Facebook page tomorrow if you want to check it out. She herself, her own personal self, so of course this has to be true because she's the one that says where I got the information from. She said it was actually the door handle. So, I mean, not that it makes any difference, but it's just like small details like that make a difference eventually. So when she tried to get back in the car, she touched the door handle. It just roasted her hand because the car was so extremely hot. She also, in one interview, I think she recalled that, it was cold outside because like this is the middle of winter. And I'm not super duper familiar with Texas temperatures in the winter. I've been to Texas in the summer, I think. No, maybe late winter, early spring. But apparently, I guess it's cold there. And she said that the heat was so intense when she was standing in the road that she didn't need a jacket or anything at all. So, but obviously it was hot enough to heat up the car. Whew, I'm getting really hoarse, guys. Sorry. Hang in there with me. Let me grab a drink real quick. Okay, so these Chinooks popped up, right? And they start herding the UFO away. Trying to get caught back up here. So, um, even the vinyl interior, this is crazy. This part's super crazy. The vinyl interior had heated up to dangerous temperatures, and at one point, Vicki laid her hand on the dash, and it left an imprint because the vinyl was so pliable and melted. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I don't know how the car. How did it keep from overheating? I know we have a car expert somewhere in the chat. He's listening. He could probably answer that question. Hey, Black Lotus, thank you for coming. Thanks for joining us. Fancy seeing you here. I don't think I've seen you here before. So, I need to stop sidetracking myself. Betty saw her chance to take off with the craft and the military personnel now distant. The three of them remained vigilant as they drove until all of the lights completely departed from the night sky. So they could see it for quite a ways. But basically, another thing too, in case you're wondering this, like, why didn't she turn around on the road? Well, first of all, I think she was pretty much awestruck, you know? I think when you see stuff like this, at least in my personal experience, you don't really think about anything like that. I didn't anyway. But at the same time, I didn't really feel like I needed to jump in a vehicle and try to escape for my life. So maybe, I've not been in a situation like that with UFO. The red thing that I was telling you about, which we don't know what that was, we ran because that was kind of spooky. It was pretty low and it was coming straight toward us in the sky. So we were able to think about it. But when you're really looking at something, and especially what these two women saw, I don't know what would be the first thought going through your head. I would assume that you would just be awestruck, like I said. So she did not attempt to turn around in the road for that reason, and also because she said that it was really muddy out where it had been raining, and she didn't think she could turn without getting stuck. So that's why they stayed and watched. And then once the UFO kind of started to scoot, she got her chance, jumped in the car, and they took off. After Betty drove Vicki and Kobe home that night and returned to her own home, she began experiencing a plethora of sicknesses. She had vomiting, diarrhea, her eyes were red and burning, she felt sunburned, and she was extremely weak. For days, her symptoms increased, and soon she was covered in large blisters, losing significant amounts of hair, and her skin was coming off in chunks. During this time, the Landrums exhibited these symptoms as well, but to a much less degree. So, I've got some pictures. Let me pull up my pictures real quick. Probably should have showed you some of these to begin with. Just a second. Let me get my screen share going. You should be seeing that in just a second. Okay, so this is them. Hey, Pappy. What'd you miss? Pappy, you missed it all. You missed it all. Okay, so this is Cash-Landrum, and then Colby, the little, I think, did I say grandson? I think he was the nephew. Well, either way, he was the 7-year-old related to the Landrum. I'm not sure because I'm loopy tonight, guys. I apologize. So, okay, here we go. Here's a picture of them. Here's another picture of them. Okay, so I think Betty may have actually been the older of the two. But like I said, it really is neither here nor there. Story of my life. Oh, surely not. I have been in here before. Oh, you have. Well, I'm glad that you're back, Black Lotus. Hope you stick around and come back again next Monday. So this is them. Okay, so these pictures, they're not graphic or anything, so you don't have to worry about that, but they're kind of I don't know, if you're real squeamish about things, maybe don't look, but it's not bad. It's not too bad. So this is a picture of the hair loss, and then if you look, I couldn't really find any better pictures than this, but you can kind of see the chunks of skin, you know, the part referring to the skin loss, and then obviously it's so sad. Oh my god, it's just freaks me out so much because I've had so many encounters with UFOs. I mean, only one that was like super duper close, which is the one I made the video about, and I'll link that somewhere on the screen or something. But to think that stuff like this could happen is just so scary. And of course, you know, Betty experienced it worse because she stood outside the longest. She was closer to the object. Whereas Vicky, you know, was like, you know, hey, let's get in the car, let's retreat. So she was kind of shielded inside the car, her and the little boy. Um, but unfortunately, Betty was not. So let me zoom in on this. This is not a very good picture, but it's just, you know, another angle. I believe that there are other pictures out there, probably available somewhere. I really wasn't able to find too many. Another thing, cancer and radiation, yep. Another thing about this was, oh crap, what was I gonna say? Oh wow, I totally forgot. It slipped my mind. Um, oh yeah, another thing was that she said, Betty said when she would go out into the sun, and I don't really know for sure like what the time frame was on this, if this was immediately after the encounter or if this was like days, weeks, months, a year, 2 years, whatever. But at some point subsequent to the encounter, she said that when she would go out in the sun, it would cause her skin to blister really bad. And I think I probably don't have that in my notes, but I just want to throw that out there because really strange. So that's them. Let me go ahead and stop the screen share. I gotta find a more streamlined way to do these things because it's so clunky. Oh well, you get the point, I guess. Do you think this was a deliberate attack or maybe defensive? Actually, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I have a theory about what happened. I mean, who knows if I'm right or wrong, whatever, but it's just, you know, just a theory. And then it's funny too because I found a comment on one of the YouTube videos about this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you this part real quick and then I'll tell you my theory because I'm excited to tell you my theory. Let's see, Betty. God, I'm so congested and stuff, guys. Sorry, I keep coughing into the mic. So Betty spent days and weeks in the hospital off and on. She was in there for a couple of weeks and then she'd come home and then she'd go back for longer. And so it's just kind of a back and forth thing. She couldn't even walk at one point with her condition. And her condition was not improving whatsoever. So like over a period of like a month, 2 months or something like that, she was still not really getting any better. She was even treated for cancer at one point. So a radiologist, and this is kind of a stray piece of information. I don't have a lot of connecting information for this information, but just throwing it out here, there was a radiologist determined that the symptoms of these three people were aligned with radiation poisoning, stating, this is a direct quote, "We have strong evidence that these patients have suffered secondary damage to ionizing radiation. It is also possible that there was an infrared component as well." So this is from Wikipedia here. Ionizing radiation is radiation that carries enough energy to detach electrons from atoms or molecules, thereby ionizing them. And that's so hard to say with my accent. Ionizing radiation is made up of energetic subatomic particles, ions, or atoms moving at high speeds, usually greater than 1% of the speed of light, in electromagnetic waves on the high energy end of the electromagnetic spectrum. So that's a whole lot of like science mumbo jumbo. If you don't understand it, it's basically like some bad stuff. So, and I'm not super well versed on this stuff either. I do know a little bit about radiation just because of my wealth of UFO knowledge. But this is like really bad stuff. So, one of the things that I read, I don't know how true it is or not, is that if this were the case, this particular description, that it would be likely that these women wouldn't have lived for more than a few days. So there's a lot of debate out there about pretty much everything in this story. And remember, I told you it was like, this is one of the most controversial UFO stories of all time because I think personally, my take on it is people consider it to be controversial because of the lawsuit subsequent to the encounter, the sicknesses, all of the things that happened. I thought about kind of going into like the whole skeptic side of it because there was an article I found on skeptoid.com, I think. Hang on, let me pull it up. I can't remember the exact website. Yeah, it was skeptoid.com. I think I'll link this. If not, I can post it over on the Facebook page and in the description box, but I think I may have. I like to read. I don't know if you guys do this, but anytime I'm researching stuff like this, I always try to read the skeptical aspect too, like their prerogative, any type of skeptic perspective I can find on the subject. I'll read it because I like to question everything, and I know that there are lots of people out there who obviously don't believe in this stuff. So I think it's interesting that, like, I feel like if I can look at the skeptical aspect and kind of answer these questions in my head, then I feel like it kind of convinces me a little more or a little less, depending on the content. I think that particular piece of information with the radiation is about the only thing in here that I think maybe is suspicious. And like I was saying earlier, I believe every single word of the story. I believe what they told. The reason is, and this is my theory, I think that the UFO that they encountered was military. Absolutely 100% military craft. Because the only other case that I can think of, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you know of another one, definitely throw it out there. The only other case where radiation poisoning was a factor was in the Bentwaters case. And that one, I think it had the earmarkings of military craft just all over. I think it definitely sounded very much like an inside job, we'll call it. This particular case, I think, is absolutely a case of military involvement. I think it's also strange, and this is another thing that I was kind of thinking about, theorizing on it. You don't really ever hear about UFOs with actual fire, like actual flames and fire coming out of them, because, it's kind of widely believed that UFOs have a propulsion system for their craft that we don't really understand, that we don't know about. And then there's, lots of information out there that kind of indicates that maybe they're using like manipulation of light, like the light spectrum, to propel their craft, or maybe they're using like sound frequencies. I kind of lean towards sound frequencies. I think that makes a lot of sense to propel their craft. So why would they need fire? Why would they need like a combustion engine? I think it's because it was a government craft. And it's so strange that I'm not going to try to pull it up just because it would take forever probably. But one of the comments on the video, it's linked in the description. It's the Sightings video. It's a clip from the interview that they did with Betty Cash. But it's in the comment section. You'll see it right at the top. Someone said that they also believe that it was a government UFO. And I don't know where they got their information. I didn't bother to ask or anything because, whatever. But they were saying that, I guess basically they believe that, part of the craft was probably UFO. It was probably reverse engineered. And they said that it was probably a nuclear reactor. I think this makes perfect sense. And I was like, yes, that's what I think too. That's what really makes sense, is because fire normally doesn't have a place. Like there's no fire motif in UFO sightings. Like we don't really see that many UFOs that are propelled by a combustion engine. We also don't hear of that many cases where people get really, really sick. I've been pretty close, not this close, but pretty close to a UFO. I didn't get sick. I just think that these types of stories stand out as most likely government. So I know it's probably not the most articulated, well thought out theory, just because, I have limited knowledge of government stuff and science stuff. I'm not a scientific person, but that's what I believe. I think that all of it definitely happened. Absolutely happened. And another thing is a lot of people try to use the thing with the Chinooks. They try to use that to debunk the story by saying that, the Air Force didn't have, what was it, like twin rotor helicopters in this particular year at this particular time. Like they wouldn't have been using those. Well, I think we all know that, or at least, those of us who are really into like conspiracies and aliens and things like that, you probably know that the government as we know it is below the entity who handles all of the ufology type stuff. I mean, I think we've talked about it before here on the channel. If not, we'll talk about it again soon in the future. But I think even the presidents of the United States, like whoever's in office, I don't think they even know what's going on with these shadow divisions of the government. I think they're completely oblivious to it, and I think that the agencies that are kind of handling the UFO, whether it's encounters or relations or like whatever it is that they're doing, they're not answering to our government. I think they're either just outside of the realm of answering to the government or they're above the government. So, but that's just my personal opinion based on all of the ufology research that I've done. And I think it makes a lot of sense, I think that's how they keep a lot of things concealed, because if you think about it, like the fewer people who know the truth about things, the less likely it is to get out, obviously, right? So if this entity, the shadow government entity, doesn't ever clue in the rest of the government, then it's super easy to keep the secret. But I don't know. Lord knows I'm not really articulate tonight just because I'm like kind of sick and all that stuff. But hopefully that made some sense, at least. At least a little. Let me check the comments real quick. Do you believe we are actually living under another world? Do you mean like Hollow Earth or like string theory, multiverses? I don't really believe in any of that stuff, but I think it's fascinating. It's definitely interesting to read about and hear people's opinions on, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that belief. But who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened, so let's see here. Okay, checking the comments. Hey, Jeffrey. Sorry I missed you. I was talking. Busy saving the world. Awesome. Oh, okay, Captain Obvious. Well, I'm glad you got to tune in for at least a little while. Thank you for coming. Hope you get to feeling better. Game and timelines, pawns are government. Yeah. Geo Lane. Shadow government is Hydra from Captain. Yeah, I mean, I think that there definitely is a shadow government for sure. And I think that it's excuse me, I think a lot of people have different definitions of what it is, but I think it's primarily just the division that covers up all of the UFO and extraterrestrial related topics. So, multiverses. I know it's such a popular topic. Oh, speaking of multiverses and like Mandela effect and stuff like that, we were watching, me and Matt, the other night. What was it, like Saturday night? Yeah. We were watching Fatal Attraction. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie. It's an older movie. I liked the movie when I was a kid. I know you're probably like, you watched that as a kid? Honey, I watched everything when I was a kid. There was only 2 movies I wasn't allowed to see. But anyway, that's another story for another time. I could have sworn, okay, I swear that, what's her name? Glenn Close, in that one scene, I swear she always said this one particular line, and it was totally different this time, but it was like, "I won't be ignored, Peter." And then this time it was like, "I won't be ignored, Dan." I was like, "That's not even enough syllables. Like, it doesn't sound right." And I kept thinking, it's like, why am I thinking that it's Peter the whole time? Does anybody else like, I don't believe in the Mandela effect, guys, but sometimes I just shout out to Matt. I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the Mandela effect." Whether I'm serious or not is like, neither here nor there. But it was strange. I'll give you Mandela believers that it was definitely very strange. And there's been a couple of times where I would be watching something. It's always like movies and TV and stuff like that. I don't know what the deal is, but something would be really different. I'd be like, "Oh my God, wasn't it like this before? And then now it's that." And I'll tell you what, I think this whole Mandela effect thing, I think it's the fluoride, guys. It's the fluoride in the water. It's doing something to our brains. Okay. I'm just going to leave it at that because my theory is not completely thought out yet, but I think it has something to do with the fluoride. I don't think that things are being changed. I think that our brains are being changed. So I try to avoid fluoride, but you can't avoid it. There's no escaping that stuff. It's everywhere. So I don't know. I have no idea. It was just really weird though, because I could have sworn she said, "I will be ignored, Peter," but that's not what she said. So, strange, very strange indeed. So, getting back to the script here, I know I went off on quite a tangent there for a second. Let me see. I think I had some more details to throw out there. The video clip that is linked below, I don't know if you guys ever watched Sightings. Oh my God, I loved Sightings when I was a kid. It used to come on like at weird times, but I would always do my best to try to catch it. Because we didn't have a lot of shows like that back then, like realistic, paranormal mysteries and supernatural mysteries, and sometimes just like crime mysteries, like on Unsolved Mysteries. But Sightings was always like, supernatural, extraterrestrial based. That was one of my favorite shows. But there's a clip linked in the description. Definitely check it out. If you use Facebook, definitely go over to the Facebook page and watch it tomorrow. If you don't feel like fooling with it tonight. I think if you watch, I don't want to play it right now because it's probably like, the whole copyright claim thing. And YouTube is just always on my case. Like every single video I make. They're always like giving me those little yellow circles, but so I won't play it. I won't infringe upon their copyright, but watch it. Definitely watch it. It's really sad. And I remember just watching it and telling Matt, I was like, it's like these little old ladies went to their graves telling the same story. Why would they do that if they were just making up a story, just for monetary gain? Anyway, I didn't want to get into the whole skeptical side of the story because I think it just takes away from the spookiness of the original UFO sighting. But anyway, these were the encounter stories that I wanted to talk about tonight. And I was going to do more, but I didn't know how long it would take. So I guess it's good that I only picked out 2 because it's taken about the same amount of time as we would normally be on, for Monday night. Bring sightings and unsolved mysteries back. Yes, definitely sightings, at the very least. Unsolved mysteries was good, but it wasn't always paranormal. Sightings was a terrific show, though. I loved it. I wish, like Amazon Prime or somebody would pick up that show. I don't know if it's on streaming anywhere. If it is, I've got to find it and watch it because I love that show. Mothra and the new Godzilla. I can't stand butterflies. You know what? I don't like butterflies either. You know why? Because butterflies are flying worms. They are flying worms, you guys. Ew. So gross. I mean, as if a worm is not bad enough by itself, then it's flying. Ugh. Super, super gross. I think subconsciously I'm saying super a whole lot tonight just to irritate that one guy who left a comment and told me that I was a bimbo. I think I'm just, subconsciously trying to get on somebody's nerves. In game, I I think everybody has lost their mind over that Endgame movie recently, but I'm not really into those types of movies, so I haven't seen any of them. Like, I think the last superhero movie that I watched was well, I watched Venom recently. I don't know if that counts, but it was kinda cool. I like that one okay. Um, Medium series? Oh, is that the one with Patricia Arquette? The Medium? I don't think I ever got to see that show. Endgame was trash. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. I'm just not really into superhero like comics and games and books and movies and all that stuff. I like dark, spooky things. Things are scary. Venom talks about the black goo. Dog's life. Yeah, I've heard of that, but I've never seen it. I've been watching, oh my god, guys. I have been watching the show on Netflix called Lost Girl, and I think it's a Canadian show from years and years ago. I think it's like probably 10 years old, if not maybe a little older than that. But oh my god, it's a cringe fest, but at the same time, it's like they'll do like a few cringy episodes and then they'll do a few really good episodes. But it's definitely different. And if you really don't have anything else to watch, it's definitely worth checking out. I think I mostly like it for the aspect of all the mythical creatures because my god, I didn't know that there were so many mythical creatures. It's like they find new ones for every episode. And then I'm always like Googling, like the Garuda. If you guys have watched the show, you know what I'm talking about. But I googled it, and there really was a Garuda. I think it's an Indian folklore. And then let's see what else was there. Well, of course, like we all know what succubuses are. But yeah, I mean, it's a cheesy, terrible show, but it's still kind of good at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of bad, but it's kind of good. I don't know. Check it out if you want. You may or may not like it though. I don't know. So Upgrade, watch Upgrade. I've never heard of that. Watchmen on HBO. Swamp Thing. Yeah, Swamp Thing would be kind of interesting, I think. Have any of you all been watching the show In Search of Monsters? I think's what it's called. Dirk Diggler. That name kills me every time. Yeah. What was that like? What was it called? Boogie Nights? Boogie Nights, I think. Maybe. My ex-wife was a succubus. um, Upgrade came out before Venom. Oh, cool. I've never heard of that. So is Venom like a sequel to it? In Search of Monsters, yeah. Actually, well, I don't know how much I can tell you about. Yeah, so Jody, who comes on the show from time to time, he's pretty good friends with some of the people on there. And I was just wondering, like, based on, what they've been saying about, like, as far as ratings and stuff and, their demographic and who's watching the show and, like, how well the show's doing. It's like, just, do you guys watch it? I was just kind of wondering. I personally, I'm just going to be straight up honest about it. I don't like the show at all. And I will also say that I probably haven't given it the most fair chance. But I kind of lose interest in it pretty quickly. I hate to say that because I feel like I should, be supportive of them and their endeavor to do the show or whatever. But it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of boring to me. Maybe it'll get better, hopefully. But I was just wondering what you guys thought of it. Oh, you got to get up at 5. Okay, well, thank you for coming, Samuel. Hope you had a good time listening to me chirp like a toad. Good night, and I will see you later. Um, Not the porn one. I know that's what I was thinking. I was like, what movie? Which was it? Dirk Diggler? Different type of movie set in the future. Oh, huh. Interesting. That kind of reminds me of Oh my god, I forget the names of shows. Stuff that I do watch, like, on Netflix and Amazon. I completely forget what it's called, and then I try to talk about it later with other people. It's like, "Oh, well, never mind, because I don't remember the name of the show." Um, what was it? Was it Black Mirror? Maybe Black Mirror, I don't know. They had one kinda like that, whichever show it is I'm thinking of, where they kind of like, they put it's almost like the whole singularity and transhumanist thing, where they put your consciousness into another, like an android or like another person or something like that, so they can basically upload and download you to the cloud, and you can pretty much live forever. My god, that post-apocalyptic dystopian stuff like that freaks me out. I can watch horror movies all day long, but when it comes to that kind of stuff, no, it just makes me too anxious. Yeah, Black Mirror is a pretty crazy show. The new It trailer. I haven't seen it, but I follow, on Facebook, I follow this, website called Bloody Disgusting, and they've been posting some stuff about it, but I haven't seen the trailer. But supposedly it's supposed to be way bloodier than the first one. And I have to say I wasn't like disappointed or thrilled with the first one. I was kind of just like, meh, it was okay, I guess. I guess they did a pretty good job recreating the original. But at the same time, I also have to admit, I didn't care for the original movie. And there's no way I'm reading that book way too long. Way too long. But yeah, as far as the movie goes, I didn't like the original movie. So maybe the remake is better. I don't know. Guys, I am so hoarse. Oh my god. I don't know if I can talk much longer. I guess I'm gonna let y'all go for the night. I should have some videos posted. Hopefully this week, hopefully very soon. The Martinez demon dog, I could probably get it done in the next 2 days, I think. So definitely come back and check that out. And I will link some videos that I talked about throughout this stream. I'll try to link them, like post them up on the little side of what's that thing called? The little things that pop up. I don't know. I'll try to link them somewhere. So if you go back and watch it, they'll be there, hopefully. Avatar is really about super soldiers. Yeah, yeah. Actually, that whole concept. There was another movie too. I think that had Bruce Willis in it, where they kind of did that whole, your consciousness being put into like avatars, not the movie Avatar, but avatars in the other sense of the word. But I think that's just such a spooky idea. So crazy to think that. I mean, and it's probably possible. Like Google and Boston Dynamics and all of these super secretive organizations, tech companies, they probably have developed a way to do it. So, weird to think about. I don't want to live in a dystopian, futuristic world. I want to live in this world where everything is just organic and nice and pleasant. But yeah, Kurt Russell. Yeah, you are welcome, James. Thank you for coming. Um, Thank you, Noran. I'm glad you can make it tonight. Thank you all for coming. I always appreciate it and always happy to see you guys here. And I will let you go for the night. Definitely add me on MeWe if you guys use MeWe, if you don't use Facebook, whatever. I will talk to you all very, very soon. Have a great rest of your week. Don't get eaten by Dogman and do not get abducted by aliens. And I will see you all very, very soon. Good night, everybody.